Hello, Julie here and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to make an embellishment for this journal, or this flip-flop journal that I'm making. I did that one the other day and now I'm going to make one for the next centerpiece or somewhere in here. And I'm going to continue using these Denise Boddey papers. And I saw this on Cori Dahmen's channel. It was part of the journal jigsaw collaboration, and I'll put a link to her video in the description box below. Now she did hers differently to mine. She used vellum. I'm not going to use vellum, and I'm adapting the sizes because I'm making it to fit into this journal, and I'm doing it differently because she cut her pieces up, but I'm going to fold mine over. So anyway, you'll be able to compare the two if you watch her video after you've watched this one. So I'm going to start with my base, and the base, I'm making the base of this piece, so it's going to be a full page piece, and I'm making it 7.5 inches by 4.5 inches. So if I cut that at 7.5 inches by 4.5 inches, you can see that that will fit into my journal like that. So I'll still have a bit of journal page showing around the outside, which I'm quite happy with. So my journal is 8.25 inches high, so that's that gives me a bit of gap all the way around. Now, this one is fairly straightforward. It is just the background, so I'm going to take this to my Big Shot and I'm going to emboss it. So I'm going to use an embossing folder with it and give it some bumpy detail. I'm also going to stitch around it, so I'll do both of those things before I come back. I'm going to round the corners, so I can do that before I do my stitching, etc. Don't know why that's behaving badly. I'll just have to snip those jagged bits off. It might have some paper stuck in it or something. Anyway, I can have a look at that later on. Okay, so as I said, I'm going to go and emboss this and then stitch around it, and then I'll be back. This embellishment is going to have a lot of stitching in it, on it, so I'll be backwards and forwards to my sewing machine. My sewing machine's out in the dining room. It's just about mounted in there permanently these days, because we don't really use the dining room, but yeah, so I have to leave here and go and do that, so I'll be back soon. Okay, so I've done that. The embossing folder didn't quite go to the end of the page, but I decided I would have just turned it around and redone it, but I'm going to put a pocket on this bottom section so you won't see it, so I didn't bother. This is a Couture Creations Flamingos and Hedgehogs embossing folder. It's just a normal one, it's not a 3D one. So I'm going to take my blending brush, or yeah, my blending brush I guess you call it, and I'm just going to rub over the top of that to help that pattern stand out a little. I'm using my old ink pad because I don't want a great big lot of brown ink on here. I just want a little bit to give it that vintage look and to help that pattern stand out a little. So there we go. Oh, I haven't inked around the edge. I'll bring my, they're both the same colour, they're both vintage photo, but This one I'm using now is slightly new. Oh, it's very new. So it, you know, has got more ink on it, so it's darker. So this is going to be the base for my embellishment. It's going to be attached to the page. So I find that the embossing, the cold embossing, it does seem to make your paper feel a little flimsier. But anyway, it's going to be attached to the page, so that's not going to be a problem. Okay, now I'm going to make a pocket on the bottom here, and I'm going to put this colour on there, just for a variation. I have got this that I could use the same paper and carry it on, but I'm going to go for a change of colour. Now, I'm going to cut this piece 5 inches by 2 inches. So let's cut 5 inches. A little bit of a... Oh, that won't matter because it's going to be... That's our 5 inches by 2 inches. Is there a preferred way? Oh, that cuts that off. It's going to be under, so I'll go that way. I'm probably not making much sense with all this mumbling and carrying on, but you'll soon see what I mean. I'm going to gusset this, and I'm going to put a 1/2 inch gusset on 3 of the sides. So I'm going to use my scoreboard and 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and then turn it and do another 1/2 inch, and this will be the bottom. Once again, we're going to clip the corners out of this. I can find the scissors. So yeah, it's easier to see on this side. You can see where the corner meets. Just clip into the corner and into this corner. And then I'm just going to do just take a little wedge off of there. Now we can fold these down and up, in, out, up. Okay, and I'm going to use my 2-inch circle punch and just put a little thumb notch in here. Now I don't want it too deep, of course, because I've only got like a 1 1/4 inch pocket or whatever it is. So I don't want it too deep. Now another sewing stint. So I'm going to stitch around this and ink around it, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I've done that, and I decided to emboss it with the same embossing folder. I don't know whether you can see that or not, but I have inked over that as well, and I rounded the corners. Now I'm going to attach that to my pocket and make sure I've got it up the right way, so that the part that hasn't got the embossing on it is down the bottom. So I'm just adding glue to my hinges here. And I'm going to attach this so it's about 1/4 inch up from the bottom. So I've got about 1/4 inch on each side and about 1/4 inch on the bottom. Okay, so that's that pocket. Now I'm going to create a little cover that comes over the top here, and I'm going to use this paper for that. So to do that, I need my trimmer, and I need to cut this at 4 inches by 10 inches. So 4 inches. I want that bit on there. Why not? We'll have that bit on there. So 4 inches by 10 inches. So we're going to lose that end. A bit of it, not all of it. Okay. So now we're going to score. We're going to score from this end at 1 1/4, 1 1/4, and 6. And that will fold up like that, and that will fold down like that, so that we end, excuse me, okay, sorry about that. So now we've got this little matchbox type fold up, I guess you'd call it, and that is going to go on there. So I'm going to round the corners for starters. That will go on there like so, and I'm going to attach that so that it's about 1/4 inch down from the top. So we've got that little bit of a gap there. So, do we like that on there or not? And that will fit in under that, of course. Yeah, that's okay. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is, do I want to emboss that? Do you think I should? Everything else is embossed. Perhaps I should stick with the embossing. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch around the whole thing, and then I'm going to corner around these corners, and then I'll make up my mind whether I'm going to emboss it or not, and then I will ink around it, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I've done that, I've stitched around it, and I did decide to emboss it. You can see I've run the ink over the embossing on both sides, well not the back because I'm going to stick that down, and that helps that to blend in nicely with all the rest of it. So now I'm going to attach this to my base. I'm using art glitter glue. I just use art glitter glue for just about everything actually. I like it. It dries quickly, it dries clear, it holds just about anything you can think of. I have got Fabri-Tac and you know, specialty glues, but I just tend to use this for everything. And it hasn't let me down yet, so fingers crossed it keeps up that way. So once again, I'm lining that up with the pocket, and I'm dropping it down about 1/4 inch from the top. So we've got something that looks fairly central and lined up. Okay, so next I'm going to make a little scrappy pad to go inside of that. So I'm going to cut some of this coffee dyed paper, and I'm going to cut it to about, what size am I going to cut it to? 3 3/4 by 4 1/4. Now I'm using some scrap stuff here, so what does that, 3 3/4. So let's cut that at 3 3/4. Or if I cut it at 4 and, what do I want it? 4 1/4 wide. And then at 3 3/4. Let's have a look how that fits in my little area here. Yep, that'll be fine. Yes, so, what was it? 3 3/4. tear that piece off. Pop that in the middle, and that will be my scrappy pad. So what have I got? 5 pieces, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. Pop that in there, like so. That will be fine. So I am going to round my corners. And now I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to stitch across the top just to make that into a pad. Okay, I've stitched that together. Now I'm going to ink around the edge of it. And I'm going to attach that in there, just with glue. Put a fair amount of glue on there just to make sure it stays in place. And I'm only attaching it at the top. Like so. So, there we have our pad attached. Now, to keep this up and nice and firm, I'm going to put 2 brads in here. I need to collect up my brads and my crocodile, so I'll go and do that and then I'll return. So I don't need my crocodile for brads. I'm just going to use this. So I'm going to, I can sort of feel where that pad ends, so I'm going to make a hole. Should I try and centre it or what? So that is 4 inches, I guess. Yeah, so if I go, say, at an inch and a half and an inch and a half, or inch and a quarter and an inch and a quarter, that might do me, eh? I'll put a hole there and a hole there. Try and make sure that I'm not poking into my writing pad, which I am not, and just make that hole a little bigger. Pop these in. I need to make it a little bit bigger than that. These are quite large brads. I'm just going to flatten that out with my bone folder to get it nice and flat. And now I'm going to do the same for this one. Okay, so now when I tuck that in there, that will stay shut. So that's excellent. Now this is going to go in my journal, and I have to decide where in my journal I'm going to put it. The trouble is that with that picture there, I really am going to struggle to cover that up. They're all, I mean, all the pages are beautiful. I've got, that one has got a pocket already. That's the back cover. Put it in there. Well, there's a pretty plain page. Could put it in there. Might put it there. I think I might put it there. Now, when you're attaching this, even though I said it's going to be attached firmly to the page, I might put a top pocket in that. So if I'm going to do that, I'm going to put some tape over these brads, and I'm just going to use normal clear sellotape. Put that over there so that when things go into the pocket, they don't get caught on it at all. Make sure it's stuck down nice and firmly. Okay. So I'm going to stick that on there like that. Do I want a side pocket or a top pocket? Actually, I think I'll put it centrally like that with a side pocket. Yes, I will. Okay, so I don't want glue on this side. Where's my glue gone? I'm putting plenty of glue on here. I'm not worried about losing a bit of space in my pocket because it's a huge pocket. So I'm laying the glue on fairly well because this paper has been embossed, so I want the glue to get in all over the place. Now I'm going to pop that in there, probably about centrally, and try and make it parallel with this. I can spread that out like so. Whoops, whoopsie, whoopsie. And burnish that down like so. And take my bone folder, just wipe that excess glue off. Take my bone folder along the bottom there. Same thing with the excess glue. And along the side here. Okay, now I've got these little clips. I'm going to use them to just hold those ends in place so that I know I get a good grip there. I'll hold this bottom section up as well, if they'll reach, or just, I don't think they'll reach down from the top. I could give it a try. No. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to set that aside to dry for now, and I think I'll make a little journaling card to go in here. So let's have a look what we can do there. So we've got this bird, but I don't want anything really that big. That would be okay. I'm not that keen on the back, but I can cover the back with some coffee dyed paper. Okay, I think we might do that. So I'm going to go for that patterned piece there. So I'm going to stick glue on that. And put my coffee dyed paper on there like so. Burnish that down. Move that away for the moment. Get my trimmer out. So let's trim here first. So we'll trim the top off so that trim the sides. So how wide is it? About just over 2.5. So it is 2 5/8, and we might make it, how tall do we want it? Let's have a look at our pocket. Here's my ruler. probably don't want it that tall. Not real sure actually. If I cut it 2.5 to start with, I can then trim it down, can't I? I'll cut it at 3. Let's cut it to the full length of the coffee dyed paper, and then we can work our way down. I want it to come above that. I think maybe cut about that much off. How much is that much? Just cut about 3/4 of an inch off. Make it about 3 inches. Okay. So it's not going to be a tag, it's going to be a journaling card, and I will round the edges. Now, when Cori made hers, she made her this into a little notepad as well, so I might do that. Oops. I've got some more coffee dyed paper here. This was a mixture of coffee and beetroot. So how big is it? If I make it 2.5 inches by 2 7/8. 2.5 by 2 7/8. And 7/8. Do I want to do concertina or do I want to do a little pad? No, I think I'll do a pad. Once again, I will round the corners. And that can go on the back of that, and that fits perfectly. Alright, so what I need to do now is I need to take this to my sewing machine. I need to stitch around this. I need to stitch around, oh no, I don't, if I stitch that at the same time, no I can't, I'll have to glue that on I think. Oh. Yeah, I'll have to glue that on. So I'll stitch across here on the little notepad and I'll stitch all around this. I am not going to, am I going to emboss this to match in with the rest of it? Yes, why not? Why not, I say. Alright, I'll emboss the front and this piece. I'll emboss this piece and I'll stitch around them all, ink around them and stitch this pad together. Okay, so I've done that and I have stitched that up, and now I'm going to attach this to this. That gives me another writing space on here. So you can see it's just a little fraction smaller all round. And that's going to go in there. Now, to embellish that, I was thinking I've got this bloom, which could go on there with that. And I've got a little piece of cheesecloth that I could pop under there. So something like that. or I've got this printed vellum that could go on there with that and that. And I'm thinking that the vellum probably blends in a bit better with that whole, because it's pretty grungy and this is pretty light. Or do I want that bit of a lift? Either one of them looks alright, doesn't it? I think I like the lighter one anyway. So that's what I'll do. I have rounded the corners on this and inked around it. I'm going to attach that down the bottom there. I could have stitched around it, I guess, but now I'm going to put some glue on the pointy bits of this flower and decide where I want to put this. I think I'll have it up like that. So that brings that colour back in. And there we have it. There's our little pocket with our writing pad, and then we can take that out and we can lift this up and we've got another writing pad in here. So plenty of writing space. That closes over like that and that holds nicely, and this pops in here. So there we go. So there's our project for today. I hope you've enjoyed watching it. As I said, I saw this over on Cori Dahmen, Creating with Scraps, and I thought it would make a great embellishment in my flip-flop journal. Gives us plenty of writing space both there and on here. And yeah. And the embossing, I haven't done embossing like this for a long time, so it's always nice to get your old tools out, isn't it, and use them. So anyway, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, I'd love it if you'd give me a thumbs up. If you're not already a subscriber, I'd love it if you would subscribe to my channel. And having said all of that, I hope you can join me when I post my next video. Okay, bye.